In my last video, I mentioned that I started to relearn Finnish at age 15. Turns out it's really hard to learn a language when you don't use it every day, especially when it's a language that is hardly spoken in the world. When you're a child, you're a sponge, soaking up everything around you and learning at an incredible pace. The same goes with languages, but as an adult, it gets harder and harder to learn a language. My Finnish still isn't perfect, so I am also making an effort to learn every day. And here are some of the methods I use. Duolingo. Also in my last video, I mentioned that Duolingo finally got Finnish as an option. I immediately downloaded it and started using it. It wasn't perfect, but thanks to the community-driven suggestions, it's been getting better and better. For example, I didn't know the word melko meant pretty, as in something is pretty cool, until I used Duolingo, and I gotta say I'm a little embarrassed by that, I'm not gonna lie. At least those owl threats were good for something. Reading. I'm a fan of Detective Conan, a manga and anime about a high school detective who becomes a kid and continues to solve crimes. I know it sounds weird, but it's good. So once when I was in Finland, I found some volumes in Finnish and I loved rereading familiar stories in a new language. Also, Finland loves Donald Duck comics and they publish weekly issues. So whenever someone from my family goes to Finland or someone comes to visit, they bring me a collection of stories like this. Then when I'm reading these books and find a word that I don't know, I translate it and use flashcards. We all know flashcards. We've probably all used them before. I have an app on my phone where I add all the Finnish words I come across that I don't understand. And then when I'm bored on the train or during my lunch break, I just flip through a couple of cards. Although I will admit I mostly end up scrolling Instagram or TikTok instead. Listening and speaking. Nothing helps learning a language more than hearing it and speaking it. Of course, not everyone can just move to a country without knowing at least a little bit of the language. But with the internet, you have access to the world's content, which brings me to today's sponsor. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Could you imagine? I'm an avid podcast listener and a hobby photographer. So I found a Finnish photography podcast to listen to. And if you're not into podcasts, a lot of radio stations can be streamed from their websites all over the world. So sometimes when I'm working, I'll have a Finnish talk radio playing in the background. Even Netflix and all those streaming platforms have movies and shows from different countries with English subtitles. The possibilities are endless. Now, speaking is a little bit different. You can't really speak a foreign language to someone who doesn't understand it. I have the opportunity to speak to my grandmother and mother in Finnish, but if you're learning a new language that no one around you speaks fluently, it's a bit more difficult. But you can once again rely on the internet. There are apps and programs that you can join where you can text and talk with native speakers from a wide selection of languages. Well, that's an insight into how I'm relearning my mother tongue. It is somewhat different if you're starting from scratch. Something like listening and speaking is more of an advanced method. So if you are starting out, use an app like Duolingo or any of the other language learning programs. Then, once the tasks get a little bit too easy, move on to watching movies and listening to podcasts or radio. You'll be surprised how you'll start understanding more and more. See you next time.